always believed love was enough. If we stick together, we'll be fine, I told Ethan one night. He laughed and kissed my forehead. You worry too much, babe. I worked double shifts and skipped meals. I'll cover rent this month, I said, handing him my card. You focus on your startup. He squeezed my hand. I won't forget this. Lena didn't smile when I told her. Why are you paying for everything again? She asked. I shrugged. Because I love him. She lowered her voice. Love shouldn't feel like debt. Ethan hated that word. Debt. He snapped when I joked about it. You think I'd use you? I shook my head fast. No. I trust you. He relaxed, but his eyes stayed sharp. Money disappeared fast. Did you move our savings? I asked gently. He didn't look up. Just investing. You didn't tell me. Do I need permission now? He said, smiling without warmth. Lena texted me later. Check your account. I replied. Stop worrying. She sent back. I'm scared for you. I turned my phone face down. Ethan started guarding his phone. When I reached for it, he laughed. Privacy, remember? Since when? I asked. Since always, he said, walking away. One night I said, you feel far. He sighed. You're imagining things. Am I? He kissed me quickly. Don't ruin a good thing. I watched him sleep and whispered, I'd do anything for us. He didn't answer. I told myself love required faith. Still, something cold settled in my chest, quiet and waiting. The next morning I said, do you still see a future with me? He rubbed his face. Why do you ask so many questions? Because I'm scared, I admitted. He replied, you're too emotional. I told Lena. He says I overthink. She answered, or maybe he undercares. I laughed weakly. You're dramatic. She said, I'm honest. Ethan promised, once I make it, I'll take care of you. I smiled. We're already a team. He nodded, distracted. His phone buzzed. He turned away. I whispered to myself, trust him. The words felt heavy. Love had always been my answer. That night, as he typed in the dark, I faced the ceiling and chose belief over fear. Even as my heart warned me softly, I remembered Lena's warning again. Just be careful, she'd said. Pushed it away. Ethan rolled closer and said, sleep. I replied, okay. My voice shook. He didn't notice. I closed my eyes, holding on to hope, unaware it was already slipping through my hands. Somewhere inside, a quiet voice asked questions I refused to hear. I answered it with silence, love, and trust, never knowing how soon everything would break. I believed in us. I believed in him. That belief was the only thing keeping me steady, even as cracks formed beneath my feet. I didn't know this was the beginning of the end. I just knew I loved him completely. And that felt like enough. It never was. I would learn. I didn't mean to listen. I was outside his office door, phone in my hand, when I heard my name. She doesn't know yet, Ethan said. A woman laughed. You're sure she won't freak out? She trusts me, he replied. She always has. My stomach dropped. I stayed frozen as he kept talking. I moved the rest of the savings today. Once I sign with you, I'm gone. The woman said. And the girlfriend? She was useful, he said casually. She paid my bills when no one else would. I pushed the door open. Useful. My voice cracked. Ethan jumped. How long were you standing there? Long enough, I said. Who is she? The woman turned, dressed perfectly, eyes cold. Vanessa, she said. And you must be the charity case. I whispered. Ethan, tell me she's lying. He sighed. Don't make this harder. Harder. My hand started shaking. You took our savings. Our. Vanessa smiled. It was always his. I said. That money was for our future. Ethan laughed. Future? You really believe that? My chest burned. I worked for that. I skipped food. I trusted you. And I appreciated it, he said. For a while. I stepped closer. Was any of it real? He shrugged. You were safe. Predictable. Vanessa added. Men like him don't end up with women like you. I begged. Just tell me the truth. Ethan looked bored. The truth is you were never enough. The words hit harder than any slap. I loved you, I whispered. That was your mistake, he said. I felt dizzy. So this was the plan? Yes, he replied. She offers connections. You offered convenience. Vanessa checked her watch. We're done here. I laughed, sharp and broken. You're stealing my life. Ethan said. You'll survive. You always do. I grabbed my bag. Give me my share. He shook his head. There is no share. My vision blurred. Please. Vanessa smirked. Pathetic. I looked at Ethan one last time. Was I nothing to you? He said quietly. You were a stepping stone. Something inside me shattered. I turned away before he could see me cry. As I walked out, he called, Don't make a scene. I whispered, I already lost everything. The hallway felt endless. My chest ached. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I kept hearing his laugh, her voice, the word useful. Outside, I breathed in and said, This is the end. I didn't have money. I didn't have answers. I had my bag and my pride broken but still mine. I walked away knowing my life had split cleanly in two. There was the woman who believed in love, and the woman I was becoming. I didn't look back. I couldn't. Everything before that door was gone, and everything after would be built from pain, truth, and survival. I promised myself I would never beg again. Not for love. Not for mercy. Not for him. I stood on the sidewalk for a long time. I said his name out loud once, then stopped. People passed me laughing, living. I wiped my face and told myself this pain would not kill me. It felt like it might, but I was still standing. That meant something. I didn't know what yet, only that I was alive. And this ending was only beginning. I slept on Lena's couch and stared at the ceiling. You can take the bed, she said softly. I'm fine, I lied. The springs pressed into my back like punishment. My phone buzzed. Mom. I turned it face down. Lena noticed. Grace again, she asked. I nodded. I can't talk to her. She worries, Lena said. She warned me, I replied bitterly. She was right. I kept hearing Ethan's voice. Useful. Stepping stone. I whispered. How could I be that stupid? Lena sat beside me. You loved him. I funded him, I snapped. I erased myself. The next morning, Lena said. You should eat. Later. You haven't eaten. I don't deserve to, I said. She frowned. Don't talk like that. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. It's Marcus, a man said. From college. I heard about Ethan. My chest tightened. I don't want pity. I'm not offering pity, he said. I'm checking on you. I laughed without humor. Everyone's checking now. You okay? He asked. No, I admitted, then quickly added. But I will be. He paused. If you need help, I don't, I cut in. I got myself into this. After the call, I shook. Lena asked, why push him away? Because if I accept help, it means I failed. She said, you were betrayed. I replied, because I let it happen. That night, I dreamed Ethan stood in our apartment and said, you were never real. I woke up crying. Make it stop, I begged the dark. Lena handed me water. He doesn't get to define you. He already did, I said. He took my money, my time, my future. My voice cracked. What's left? My phone buzzed again. Mom left a voicemail. I'm not ready, I said aloud. Lena squeezed my hand. You don't have to be. I stared at my reflection in the window. I don't recognize myself. Lena said. She's still there. I shook my head. No. He erased her. Something inside me snapped. I built his life, I shouted. And he walked away like I was nothing. My chest burned. I let him. I slid to the floor and cried hard. I was weak, I said. I was blind. Lena said firmly. You were loyal. I whispered. Loyal people still end up empty. Hours later, I said quietly. He didn't just leave me. Lena waited. I finished. He erased me. The words felt final. Heavy. True. I hugged my knees and said, I don't know who I am without him. Lena replied, then we'll figure it out. I closed my eyes. Shame wrapped around me like a second skin. I had nothing left except the truth, and it hurt more than the loss. I said it out loud again. Never again. Lena nodded. Say it until you believe it. I breathed in. I gave him my name, my money, my future. He doesn't own that, she replied. He used it, I argued. And now I feel hollow. Lena said. Hollow means there's space to rebuild. I whispered. I don't feel strong. She answered. You don't have to yet. I nodded slowly. I just feel ashamed. Lena said. Shame fades when truth stays. I stared at the floor and whispered. Then I'll stay. I didn't believe it yet, but I wanted to. I stayed in bed too long until Lena said, You're disappearing. I replied, I already did. She crossed her arms. You can stay broken, or you can survive. Her words followed me all day. That night I scrolled online and froze. Ethan's voice played in a video. New city, new circle, new level, he bragged. Someone laughed off screen. What about your ex? Ethan said. She was a phase. Something inside me snapped. I said out loud, I will not be your wreckage. Lena knocked. You okay? I showed her the screen. She swore. He's trash. I shook my head. No. He's motivation. My phone rang. Marcus again. I almost ignored it, then answered. What? He said. I heard he's showing off. I laughed sharply. He always needed applause. Marcus replied. You don't need him. You need direction. I hesitated. You still offering help? He said, yes. There's a business training program. Brutal. Competitive. I'm not ready, I said. You don't need ready, he answered. You need movement. I met Nora the next day. She looked me over and said, You're angry. I replied, Is that a problem? She smiled thinly. Only if you waste it. I said, I don't want revenge. She said, Good. Revenge is loud. Power is quiet. She pushed a folder toward me. This will break you. I asked, Why help me? She said, Because you've already lost everything. That makes you dangerous. I walked out shaking. Lena asked, How was she? I said, Terrifying. Lena smiled. Perfect. That night doubt crept in. I whispered, What if I fail? My reflection answered, What if you don't? I called Marcus. I'm in. He said, Don't quit. I replied, I already did once. He said, This time don't. I sat on the couch and said, I don't feel strong. Lena answered, You don't have to. I said, I just can't stay here. She nodded. Then go. I packed my bag slowly. Each item felt like a step. I said quietly, I'm done begging. Lena replied, Say it again. I'm done begging, I repeated. I didn't feel healed. I felt angry, scared, and awake. I opened my laptop and filled out the application. My finger hovered. This won't save you, I told myself. I clicked submit anyway. I whispered, I choose to survive. The next morning Marcus called. Training starts early. I said, I'll be there. He asked, You sure? I replied, No. But I'm coming. At the orientation, Nora said, Anyone afraid can leave. No one moved. She looked at me. You. I said, I've been afraid. I'm still here. She nodded once. During break, a woman whispered, You look calm. I answered, I'm not. She said, Why stay? I said, Because staying broken hurts more. That night Ethan messaged me. Saw your name pop up. Funny. I stared at the screen. I typed nothing. I deleted the chat. I said aloud, You don't get access anymore. Lena texted, Proud of you. I replied, I'm terrified. She sent back, That means you're growing. I lay in bed and thought, This isn't revenge. Then I corrected myself. This is rebuilding. My chest felt tight but steady. I whispered, I'll earn everything myself. No one answered, but I felt heard. I closed my eyes and pictured a version of me standing tall. I said, I'm coming for me. I walked into training shaking. Nora said, You're late. I replied, I didn't sleep. She said, Not my problem. During my first presentation, someone whispered, She's unprepared. I froze. Nora interrupted, Finish, she ordered. I stumbled through slides and heard laughter. When I sat down, Nora said, embarrassing. I whispered, I'm trying. She leaned close. Trying isn't skill. After class, I called Lena. I failed, I said. She answered, you showed up. That's not enough, I replied. It is today, she said. The next week I failed again. A man scoffed, she doesn't belong. I wanted to disappear. I told Nora, maybe I should quit. She replied, you already quit once. How did that work out? Her words cut. I thought, I was chosen by Ethan. That was my worth. I said it aloud later. I don't know who I am without being chosen. Nora said, then choose yourself. I practiced every night. I talked to mirrors. Speak clearly, I told myself. Don't apologize. My voice shook less each time. Lena listened to me rehearse. Again, she said. Stronger. I snapped. I'm tired. She replied. Then rest, not quit. During another presentation, someone smirked. I paused and said, I'm not finished. The room went quiet. Nora nodded once. After class, Nora said, better. I asked, that's it. She said, progress isn't praise. Doubt still followed me. I thought, what if I'm nothing special? Then I answered myself, what if that's okay? Weeks passed. I learned numbers, strategy, silence. I stopped waiting for approval. I stopped checking my phone. One afternoon, Nora handed back my report. Top 3, she said. My breath caught. I did that. She replied, you did. I called Lena. I didn't fail. She laughed. I knew. I said, I didn't need anyone to pick me. She answered, you picked you. I sat alone and felt something new. Not love. Not rage. Capability. I whispered, I can stand. For the first time, I meant it. I remembered Ethan's voice asking, who chose you? I answered the memory. I did. That answer felt steady. The next evaluation came fast. A woman laughed and said, you won't pass. I replied, watch me. My hand shook, but I kept talking. Nora stopped me midway. Why are you apologizing? I said, habit. She said, break it. I broke it slowly. I spoke without shrinking. I held silence. When someone interrupted, I said, let me finish. My heart raced, but I didn't stop. Afterward, a trainee said, you surprised me. I answered, so did I. That night I called Lena. I didn't cry, I said. She replied, that's growth. I added, I didn't wait for praise. She said, that's power. I wrote notes to myself. You earn space. You don't need permission. I crossed out Ethan's name from old pages. At the final review, Nora said, you belong here. I asked, because you chose me? She replied, because you chose yourself. I walked out breathing hard. No applause followed. No message came. Still, my steps felt solid. I smiled and said quietly, I'm enough. I stood outside and let the fear settle. I said, I don't need love to stand. The city stayed loud, but I stayed calm. For once, I wasn't waiting to be saved. I was already moving. That small win wasn't loud or perfect, but it was mine and it was real. I walked forward knowing I could keep going. I smiled without asking permission, trusting my own strength, accepting silence and choosing progress over comfort, approval, fear, memory, and the version of me that needed love to survive fully. I heard it from Lena first. He's not winning, she said quietly. What do you mean? I asked. Vanessa controls everything, Lena replied. Money, schedule, friends. I shrugged. Good for them. Lena frowned. You don't care. I care about me now, I said. A training Marcus pulled me aside. There's an opening, he said. I asked, where? Luxury brand. Junior role, he replied. Why me? I asked. Because you earned it, he said. I met the team that afternoon. A man beside me said, I'm Elijah. I'm new, I replied. He nodded. I know. No flirting. No pity. Just calm. During lunch, Elijah said, you listen before speaking. I learned the hard way, I answered. He said, it shows. That night my phone buzzed. Ethan's name lit the screen. "Can we talk?" he wrote. I stared, then locked the phone. I said out loud, "No." The next day rumors followed me. "He's struggling," someone whispered. "She pays for everything," another said. I felt nothing. Elijah noticed. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Finally," he replied. At my desk, Marcus said, "You're settling in." "I'm focused," I told him. He smiled. "That's power." Ethan texted again. "I miss you." I deleted it. "Silence," I whispered, "is strength." Vanessa's name came up in a meeting. "She's demanding," someone joked. I stayed quiet. Later, Elijah said, "You don't react to gossip." "It's not my story anymore," I replied. I signed my contract. My hand didn't shake. "Welcome aboard," my manager said. "Thank you," I answered. That evening, Lena asked, "Feel victorious?" "No," I said. "Peaceful." My phone stayed silent. So did I. For the first time, quiet felt like control. Karma wasn't loud. It was patient. And it was already working. I wore the dress Lena picked and said, "Stand straight." I laughed. "I feel fake." She replied, "You earned this." She zipped the back and asked, "Nervous?" I said, "Terrified." She smiled. "Good. Fear means growth." I looked at myself and whispered, "Don't shrink." In the car, Lena said, "Remember who you are." I asked, "Who's that?" She answered, "The woman who survived." I nodded. At the event, someone handed me champagne. "Relax," I told myself. My name was called. Applause followed. My hand stayed steady. A woman said, "Beautiful speech." I replied, "Thank you." My voice didn't shake. Another said, "You sound confident." I answered, "I practiced honesty." Elijah whispered, "You belong here." I answered, "I'm learning." He said, "That's enough." Across the room, I felt it. Ethan froze when he saw me. He walked over slowly. "You look different," he said. "I am," I replied. He asked, "Can we talk?" I said, "We are." Vanessa stood beside him watching. Her smile tightened. Ethan said, "I didn't expect this." I answered, "I did." He swallowed. "You seem fine." I said, "I am." Vanessa asked, "Do you work here?" I looked at her and said, "Yes." She nodded stiffly. "Since when?" "Since I earned it," I replied. Ethan said, "I've been meaning to explain." I replied, "No need." He said, "You don't want closure?" I said, "I have it." He leaned closer. "I made mistakes." I answered, "So did I." He asked, "Can we start over?" I said, "No." My chest ached, but I didn't show it. I thought, pain doesn't get a microphone. Vanessa whispered, "We should go." Ethan hesitated. "I'm happy for you," he said. I answered, "Good." He added, "You look expensive." I smiled. "I am valuable." Vanessa stiffened. Elijah joined us. "Ready?" he asked me. "Yes," I said. Ethan looked away. As they left, Vanessa glanced back once. I didn't. Another guest said, "You handled that well." I replied, "Practice." She said, "He seemed shocked." I answered, "That wasn't my goal." Later, Lena texted, "Did he see you?" I replied, "Yes." She asked, "How do you feel?" I typed, "Free." I stood under bright lights and said quietly, "I don't need permission anymore." On the balcony, Elijah asked, "Was that hard?" I answered, "Yes." He said, "You didn't flinch." I replied, "I learned restraint." He nodded. "That's power." I said, "It's peace." A breeze hit my face. I said, "Part of me still aches." Elijah replied, "And the rest?" I said, "The rest is unstoppable." On the ride home, Lena asked, "Any regrets?" I said, "None." She smiled. "You didn't explain." I answered, "I didn't owe him that." I sat by the window and told myself, "You're safe." Another voice answered, "You're strong." I said, "I didn't win him." The voice replied, "You won yourself." I breathed out and added, "No apologies." Silence agreed. I told my reflection, "You survived." It answered, You transformed. I said, I don't need to be chosen. The reflection replied, you choose. I walked home alone. The ache was there, but it was smaller. Strength stood taller. I whispered, you can't touch me now. I paused at the door and said, this is mine. The room felt quiet. I felt steady. I wasn't chasing anything. I wasn't proving anything. I was present. I was calm. I was done explaining. I smiled once, small and real, and stepped forward without looking back, carrying only myself. I said, enough. The word felt final. It stayed with me as I walked. I didn't hesitate. I didn't doubt. I kept going. Alone. Certain. Whole. Unafraid. Free. I didn't expect Ethan to call, but when my phone rang, I knew it was him. Can we meet? He asked. I replied, say what you need to say. He exhaled. I messed up. I said, you always did. I was scared, he said. Pressure, expectations, money. I answered, you chose betrayal. We met in a quiet cafe. He looked smaller, nervous, exposed. I regret everything, he said. I replied, you regret losing control. He flinched. I loved you. I said, love doesn't erase damage. He rubbed his face. Vanessa left. I nodded. I heard. She took the accounts, he whispered. I said, like you did to me. He said, people are talking. I replied, they always do. My reputation is ruined, he said. I answered, actions travel faster than apologies. He leaned forward. I'm drowning. I said, I already survived. Can you forgive me? He asked. I paused. Forgiveness isn't access. I remembered nights begging for honesty. I remembered praying for this apology. It felt smaller now, weaker, almost empty. I wanted this once, I admitted. He asked, and now? Now it's too late, I said. He whispered, you're cold. I replied, I'm clear. You don't care, he said. I care about my life, I answered. After he left, guilt crept in quietly. I wondered if silence was cruelty. I wondered if strength meant hardness. I told Nora, I feel heartless. She replied, you're alive. I said, he's falling apart. She said, you're not responsible. I asked, am I punishing him? Nora answered, you're protecting yourself. I said, it feels wrong. She replied, survival isn't cruelty. At work, whispers followed his name, not mine. Vanessa blocked him publicly. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. Ethan texted again. Please. I deleted it. I told myself, distance is mercy. That night I said aloud, I don't hate him. The room stayed quiet. I just choose peace, I continued. I stopped watching his collapse. I stopped measuring my healing against his pain. I said, freedom doesn't need witnesses. The guilt faded slowly, replaced by stillness. I felt light, not cruel. I felt finished. And that was enough. Ethan's message came late. One more chance, he wrote. I stared at it and whispered, you're testing me. I didn't answer. I opened a drawer and pulled out old letters. I believed you, I said to the paper. The memory replied, you believed the idea. Elijah noticed my silence. Something wrong. Ethan wants another chance, I said. He asked, what do you want? I don't know, I admitted. I sat on the floor and said to myself, remember the dreams. I saw apartments, rings, promises. They were real, I whispered. A calmer voice replied, they were unfinished. Elijah sat nearby and said, you don't owe anyone a decision tonight. I replied, I owe myself honesty. He nodded. I'll stay quiet. Ethan called. I can't lose you, he said. You already did, I answered. I'm different now, he insisted. So am I replied. He said, I was afraid. I was loyal, I said. I was lost, he added. I was erased, I replied. He paused. I still love you, I said. Love without respect isn't enough. Can we try again? He asked. I breathed slowly. No. Silence stretched. Why? He whispered. Because forgiveness isn't return, I said. After the call, my hands shook. I said aloud, "Goodbye to who I was." Elijah asked gently, "Are you okay?" "I'm grieving," I said. He replied, "That's allowed." I spoke to my younger self. "You weren't stupid." She answered, "You were hopeful." I said, "Hope shouldn't hurt this much." She replied, "Now it won't." Ethan texted again. "I'll wait." I typed, "Don't." I stood by the window and said, "This is the test." The city stayed quiet. I chose clarity. Elijah said, "You don't sound angry." "I'm not," I replied. "You sound sure," he said. "I am," I answered. I sent Ethan one final message. "Take care." Nothing else. My chest ached, but it felt clean. I whispered, "I forgive you." Then I added, "From a distance." The past loosened its grip. I said, "I choose my future." Elijah smiled softly. I smiled back. The test ended there. I heard it first at the cafe. A woman whispered, "Ethan's out of the firm." I sipped my coffee. "I heard he's lost all his clients," she added. I nodded, quiet. I didn't feel glee. Just a strange emptiness. Lena called later. "Did you hear?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Sad, right?" She paused. "Maybe justice?" I shrugged. "I feel nothing." At work, Marcus grinned. "Congratulations," he said. "Promotion's official." I smiled tightly. "Thank you. Feels surreal." He added, "You earned it." Elijah leaned in. "New apartment soon?" I nodded. "Yes. Keys tomorrow." He said, "You look different." I laughed softly. "I hope so." That night I packed a few boxes. The girl who begged would barely recognize me, I murmured. Lena texted, "She's still in there, just stronger." I typed back, "I hope so." Rumors followed me everywhere. "Ethan's reputation is crumbling," someone said. I said nothing. My silence was stronger than words. A neighbor congratulated me on the apartment. "You must be proud." I smiled. "I am." Finally. Elijah said quietly, "Doesn't it feel satisfying?" I shook my head. Sadness lingers. Triumph is muted. He nodded. "You're aware." I said, "I can't celebrate cruelty disguised as karma." That evening I unpacked my first box. A framed photo of my younger self stared back. "I barely recognize you," I whispered. Lena replied in my mind, "She's still here, just unbroken." A message popped up. "Ethan." I deleted it immediately. No curiosity. No longing. I whispered, "Not my story anymore." I walked through the apartment, felt the polished floors under my feet, and said aloud, "I've built this. My life." Elijah asked, "Are you happy?" I paused. Content. Free. I glanced out the window at city lights. No one can erase this. A neighbor asked, "You live alone?" I smiled faintly. "Yes, and I like it." Lena's voice echoed in my head. "She's alive." I whispered back, "And unafraid." I found my old journal. I flipped pages. "So much pain," I said softly. "But progress feels better than revenge." Elijah asked, "Do you miss him?" I shook my head. Not enough to look back. That night, I poured champagne into crystal glasses. I toasted silently. To the woman who survived, rebuilt, and moved forward. I smiled, realizing the strength wasn't in his fall, but in my rise. I whispered to myself, "This life is mine. Fully." Finally. I set the glass down. Silence followed. I was steady. I didn't look back. I wouldn't. I sat on the balcony watching the city glow. "Every version of me led here," I whispered. My younger self, the girl who trusted too much, flashed in my mind. "I survived you," I told her. Lena knocked lightly. "Coffee?" she asked. "Yes," I said. She handed me a cup. "You look complete." I smiled softly. "I feel like it." Later I called my mother. My fingers shook. "Mom," I said. "Is that you?" she asked, surprise in her voice. "Yes." "I want to talk," I replied. We spoke for hours. She said, "I was scared for you." I answered, "I know. Thank you for always worrying." Tears filled my eyes. "I missed you," I whispered. She said, "I missed you too." At the office, Nora stopped me. You did it, she said. I had help, I replied. You pushed me when I didn't want to move. She smiled, sharp but kind. You pushed back too. I nodded. I learned to fight for myself. Lena hugged me tightly that evening. I couldn't be prouder, she said. I couldn't have done it without you, I whispered. Elijah called. Dinner, he asked. I'd like that, I said. I paused. But not because I need you. Because I choose you. He smiled. I like that. That night I walked alone through my apartment, touching the walls I built, the furniture I chose, the space I claimed. I whispered, this is mine. Every piece, every choice. I remembered the girl on Lena's couch, crying, shaking, and broken. I smiled softly. She would barely recognize me, I said aloud. But she's still here. Elijah arrived, quiet, respectful. I offered him tea. I'm not ready for love, I said. I'm ready for connection. He nodded. We'll move together, not behind, not ahead. I called my mother again before bed. I'm proud of myself, I said. She replied, so am I. I laughed softly, feeling warmth I hadn't known in years. Lena texted me, cheers to the woman you've become. I typed back, cheers. To everything we survived and everything we built. I sat in my apartment and reflected. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every sleepless night shaped me. I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm whole. Elijah touched my hand lightly. Are you happy? He asked. I am, I said. Because I chose myself first. I looked out at the city lights. I'm grateful not for him, not for them, but for me, I whispered. I closed my eyes, breathing slowly, deeply. I built myself. Alone, strong, unshakable. The apartment felt quiet and safe. I whispered one last time. I am enough. I always was. And now I am free. For the first time, I didn't need anyone to define me. I didn't seek approval, forgiveness, or love. I had everything I wanted inside myself. I smiled, calm and certain. This is who I am. Finally. I stepped into the lobby of the gala, feeling the soft weight of silk against my skin. You look incredible, Lena whispered. I smiled, but it wasn't for her. I feel unshakable, I said. As I moved through the crowd, I noticed him instantly. Ethan. Across the room, frozen, eyes wide. He didn't approach. He couldn't. I thought, this is my world now. Someone nudged me. You're glowing, they said. I nodded politely. Thank you. Elijah came to my side. He sees you, he murmured. I took a deep breath. Yes. And I don't need him to say anything. Ethan glanced again, lips parted, searching for a word. I held my head high. Not my concern anymore. A colleague asked me to speak on stage. Of course, I said. My voice steady. No hesitation. No trembling. From the podium I glanced at the crowd. Ethan was there, a shadow in the back. He couldn't move forward. He couldn't claim a place here. After the applause, I walked down with calm steps. Lena followed, smiling. Elijah beside me, silent support. I didn't look back at him. Someone whispered, she's unstoppable. I replied, she always was. The elevators opened, and I moved toward the exit. Ethan stayed behind, still frozen, still watching. I let it happen. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Outside, the night air was cool. I breathed in deeply. This is mine, I whispered. My apartment, my career, my choices, all built from pain and strength. Elijah asked softly, does it feel complete? I nodded. More than complete. Free. Lena nudged me gently. Closure. I smiled faintly. Perfectly quiet, perfectly mine. I walked toward the street, heels clicking with certainty. Every step a claim. I am here. I belong. I choose. Ethan watched from a distance, powerless. I felt no triumph, only calm. My life, my worth, my future, untouchable. The city lights reflected in my eyes. I whispered, this is my victory. I didn't look back once. Not for regret, not for apology, not for him. Each step forward was deliberate. Each breath steady. Each heartbeat a quiet declaration. I thrive. I turned a corner and disappeared into the night. The power was mine, silent, unshakable, complete. No words. No confrontation. Just life unfolding exactly as I built it. I smiled, finally at peace.